Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Cantina Conversations. I am the number one Kylo Ren fanboy, Travis Snell.
I'm the Grand Admiral Taylor Field.
All right, you're freehanded. Do you freehand for every cast now?
I think I'm going to freehand it for every cast. It's just so much nicer.
Okay. Then I'm going to turn you down.
Turn me down.
I did. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be talking about today is, go back a couple days ago, me and Dylan did a D23 for the Disney Plus panel. We talked about Obi-Wan, we talked about the kind of Moon Knight stuff, all that Disney Plus Marvel stuff, but we didn't talk about the trailer that dropped the next day. We were planning on doing a cast. We're going to do that a few days, but honestly, other than the trailer, there wasn't that much news and everything like that. And now that we've seen the trailer in person, there's a lot more to talk about, because that is really, before I kind of was like, okay, whatever. But once I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, now I have some thoughts and opinions. But we're talking about this today, and then in a few days, you can get me and Taylor going to do a kind of wants and don't wants for Obi-Wan. It won't be our official predictions episode. We'll do a predictions episode like that we did with Mandalorian and Last Jedi, like a predictions draft of this and that. But we're going to talk about that in a few days, so stay tuned. But we are going to, I guess it's not a trailer, it's the Episode 9 special look, or they're calling it the D23 special
The
look.
D23. It's like that mid-in-between trailers thing that they've done for the past couple movies.
Yeah, so what did you... Like, I'd say obviously the main topic's going to be Dark Rey, so we're going to do that. But talk about everything else that doesn't concern that topic in this. And if you don't have anything, then we can just jump into it. Because I just think the only thing I'll add is just visually looking good. JJ and his crew know how to shoot a movie. Even Johnson and them did. So what do you think about the special look?
Excuse me. When it was leading up to, the new scenes, I absolutely loved how the score... Sorry, pardon me. I'm sick, and my throat's not
We're
on
both
my
sick,
team
so it's
today.
great. Not on your
Yeah.
team. I haven't heard that one before.
It's not on my team.
Sorry, Grandma. I can't answer your phone.
Yikes! Set to silence.
She wants to talk about Rey, so I know.
Dark Rey,
yeah. I have my theory, Travis.
But yeah, no, I think the trailer was awesome. I loved how it had that amazing score. I really, really liked that. And I loved how it showed all of the old scenes from the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, prequels, yeah.
Yeah, and then leading into even like A Last Jedi and just popping right into where we are now. And I thought that was great. And I spent most of like my morning comparing the scenes to the first Rise of Skywalker trailer. And me and Travis were bouncing ideas and just talking and discussing a lot this morning. And there are so many resemblances and so many things when you look at it where they're trying to divert you and they don't want you to think one thing, but they're literally trying to force you to think how this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And it's done very obviously. It's not going to go the way you think. It's done very obviously in this time around.
I think it's obviously now because we've been through Force Awakens and we've been through Last Jedi. We kind of know how it works. Because I'd say like the three most egregious ones to ever happen in the trailers was Finn holding the lightsaber, which you can go back. I called that as BS, that he wasn't going to be our main character. The other two was Kylo. I guess you could say maybe Kylo shooting Leia, but that one was a bit more easy. But the other two I'd say was Snoke's narration in the full Last Jedi trailer. You and I both thought, oh, he's probably talking to Rey, and they're just showing us Kylo to make us think that. That was like a misdirect. Like that was like showing us what's real to misdirect us, but it wasn't a misdirect at all. And then I'd say the other one, not a misdirect, but I think we'll get into it. It's similar to the Dark Rey, was like Kylo holding out his hand and like what's gonna happen. I think the Dark Rey that we've gotten so far is very similar to that, where I think it will be in the movie, but we don't know the context, and I think it's just setting us up to get somewhat excited or think something's gonna happen. But I'll wait till we start going fully in it.
Most of these trailers have kind of showcase the fact that y'all alluding to Rey being on the dark side. Even in Last Jedi, when you said like, yeah, Kylo Ren is like holding his hand out like you need a teacher or something like that. Like they're trying to make you think that. And again, like I think they're trying to make you think that in here, but for obvious reasons, which we'll get to later, it's not that white and black.
Yeah. So, I've never heard it done that way.
Yeah.
So I saw this. I saw the footage, I saw the description of the footage the weekend. And I saw the actual footage. Made me feel better. But I said this to Taylor. One of my last things I said to him in our chat, because it's like Taylor said, we've been talking all day. Is I feel this movie is doing a balancing act right now, and all the promotional material I've seen, and all this stuff, and the news and the interviews. I feel this is gonna go, and this is Taylor, this is not. I think this is gonna go pretty white and black. I think we are either going to get a very kick-ass, mind-bending, mind-blowing Star Wars movie that's going to be like, wow, what a way to end this. They took a lot of risks. And Last Jedi did take some risks, but this even more. So you got Emperor, you got a Dark Rey, who knows what's going on with Kylo, you got all these other characters, Lando's coming back. We've just seen some things where, wow, they could, and Ghost Luke, this could take some risks and really work out, or I feel we could get to the disappointment side where, and I love JJ. I always love JJ. He's directed a lot of some of my favorite movies, Mission Impossible. I love Force Awakens. I like a lot of his other work. So I am going to defend him till I see the movie. I always say I was trying to pick between the kick-ass stars or disappointing. And I said to you today, like, I'm preparing myself for disappointment because I'm scared. But really, I should try to take like the same approach after Infinity War. Like, I don't know how they'll top it. And then the Endgame they did. With this, I just feel, like I said, we're either going to get this kick-ass movie or this really disappointing kind of repetitive movie, because there's ways that I think from what we've seen in these trailers, there's definitely ways where we can go off into new routes, and we're going to talk about now. But the old routes is, I'm still always worried we're going to talk about that Kylo is going to turn good at the end and save Rey. That's a big fear. You got the Emperor coming back, which is very similar to Return of the Jedi. If this Rey thing is just Rey going into a cave and fighting off like a vision of herself, like Luke did with Vader seeing himself, that's another that's what I do worry that my spidey sense have gone off a bit, and not. I don't know why. I think it's just because I just want a good Star Wars movie, so I'm trying to prepare for the worst, but my spidey senses have just gone off. It's like, all this could just be everything we think of, like, oh, I hope they don't do that. They might do that because it's an ache into the past, and I kind of hope JJ's doing that, if he has anything to do with the marketing, on purpose for us to kind of doubt him, because I've always said that, and that's why I'm going to trust him. I've always said that about Force Awakens, that, like I said, he has Twitter. He knows what the word was around the street. Like, oh, you just made like a remake or a cover song. I always thought if JJ comes back, he's going to do some crazy shit. So we're going to talk about what could potentially do that crazy shit. And I hope that happens, because I defended the episode 7, some of the retread stuff, because I thought they had to do that. People were unwavering on the franchise. Some people were turned off from the prequels. They just wanted that OG Star Wars back. And I think JJ, whoever did that job, was going to kind of hit the nostalgia. So that I understand. It was like a soft reboot. This time, I don't want that. There's always going to be like echoes and like tributes to past stuff, whether it's score, but I don't want, like I laid out, like, if Dark Rey, and this is where we'll start with Dark Rey. If Dark Rey is a vision or a dream, that whenever that happens in the movie, if that happens, to me, that's going to tell me, oh, it's going to be the disappointing movie. Because, one, we got that with Last Jedi, which we're going to talk about what that vision could actually mean. But we already had that kind of Luke-esque moment of her having a vision, seeing some dark side stuff. So we don't need that anymore. And two, and this is where I started to worry when I just read the description of it, is, are they just showing us cool stuff to get people that are maybe in the middle? And I'm a positive Star Wars fan. You can go back. I like Last Jedi. But people that are either on the fence or not liked what Star Wars done recently, is this just something like show Rey with a cool red lightsaber and people are going to get excited? And, oh, it's just a vision. Because we've seen that in so many movies with dream sequences and visions, and even Infinity War, making up scenes just to get people to speculate and whatnot. So I hope that's not the case. So let's start there. What are you going to do if it is a dream vision? What if it's just something? It's not a character, not a clone, not a Dark Rey. If it's a vision dream,
I'll walk out. No.
You.
I when I first saw it, my first thought was to go to, okay, it's a vision. It's
me too.
And I'm okay with that. I don't mind it. But then as time progressed and was putting more thought into it, then I realized, okay, I don't want it to be a vision. I want it to be actually reality, in the sense of a clone. But
because if it's a vision, don't show that in the trailer. Because if you show that,
definitely not. I mean, they didn't show Force Awakens Rey's vision in the trailer, and they didn't show any of the cave sequence in Last Jedi in the trailers.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of hoping we'll get into Palpatine. I think that's a different can of worms, but that's why I'm kind of hoping them showing that is saying, hey, like, this will be in the movie one way or another as like a plot point, not just. And of course, Vision's a plot point, as great character development. I understand, but I don't think there's a certain expectation when you show that. It's the same way I said about the Palpatine when they, just so you know, the Palpatine is inside joke. I always have to say that because I know there's gonna be some person like, why the fuck are you calling him the Palpatine? His name's just Sheev Palpatine. But I thought the same way when he was in the trailer, brought him stage, like he's going to have a big role. It seems like he has a big role, so it's the same way when they show this. I feel like this has to have some importance, not just a vision, not just a dream.
Yeah, I mean, if you take out a lot of the other things we've seen, like for example, hypothetically, if we take out Palpatine and we take out that massive Star Destroyer fleet and we take out the Death Star and you just see Dark Rey in there, then I think, I could definitely see this being a vision, more so here now than ever. But when you add all these other elements of the past, Darth Vader's helmet, Palpatine, that massive fleet, Death Star, all this stuff, and when we really went down deep and analyzed this trailer, it just goes to show I feel like this is an actual real thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's in a vision sense where she's going to a cave to fight her dark self, because I feel like it would be a lot more basic. Like it would be a dark version of her just with a basic red lightsaber. I think the detail behind that lightsaber again warrants the fact that it'd be a weird vision. Like, okay, where did Dark Rey just whip out this fucking lightsaber
She's just
from?
Custom creating her own visions. Oh,
yeah, apparently. And I think that warrants again that there is detail in here, and then they're even bragging about that we're gonna get the best choreographed Star Wars fight of all time in this movie.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, okay, again, that's going to involve Dark Rey, because you don't waste time building a lightsaber like that. They're trying to really hook some people in.
And I did see that this is why you got to get even a fake Twitter account. There's a video going around resurfacing of Daisy Ridley's stunt double that posted months ago of her with a double blade lightsaber practicing. So this is where, when I heard the description, I was a bit more iffy on the movie and going, oh no, I'm getting bad signs. But then when I saw the footage today, the first thing I noticed was when they go to Rey, and this is where I posed the theory to you, and now I feel like everyone's going with it, but was I the first person that told you that I thought Rey was a clone? Oh,
you might have been.
I just feel like I told you this morning, and then once I made that post on Facebook, and maybe I'm not trying to be hipster Travis, but I'm saying now it's everywhere. It popped in my head, and I was like, oh, I think it's the Rey's clone. Now it's everybody thinks that. I'm like, oh, now I feel less special.
You probably were, because at first I was heavily thinking, okay, maybe vision, whatever. But then I think vision. When you said clone, then it reminded me okay, yeah, clone would make sense, because there's a lot that they can pull from there from extended universe kind of thing, and it makes sense.
I thought Palpatine, the reason, and I hadn't. And to be honest, and if anyone thought clone just reading the description, good for you, because I was not thinking clone until I saw the description, because her face is just emotionless. There's nothing there. She almost just looks like she could be a droid with a Rey skin on it, and that's why I thought this is a droid. This is a clone, kind of the way I've compared it to Taylor is if you've watched Logan, there's Logan, and then there's the younger, more powerful X-24. And he's just a machine. He has no emotion. He's just there to kill and wreak havoc. And that's why I don't know what this clone is. Is it maybe Palpatine or the First Order, whoever's controlling it is controlling it? Is it just no emotion because it's been raised just to be a dark side user, which is hard to believe, because that to me opens up a lot of can of worms of where has this clone been. But there's many signs to it being a clone. One, you got Palpatine, obviously, Clone Wars. Like you said, EU, he has cloned himself before, and he's back in some way, which I'm going to talk about because I don't know if we'll physically see him, but he's back in some way, and that could be cloning. And then three other things. One, she's super powerful. Rey's always been super powerful. That would explain that if she is, and we've talked about this a lot of time on the previous Cantinas when the first trailer dropped, that Force Awakens was supposed to open with a shot of Luke's hand. Mm-hmm. So she could be a clone of Luke or a clone of other Jedis and Siths put together, so kind of like the super weapon. It makes sense. She was on Jakku, and that's where apparently had a laboratory and stuff doing some weird stuff, so that could make sense. We've talked about this because JJ said this, but then they never talked about Last Jedi. In Force Awakens, Kylo, when they said, oh, she got they were with a girl, and he force chokes that guy into me. Pulls him and he chokes him and he says, what girl? And JJ said he says that because Kylo knows of a girl. And then Last Jedi, that was never talked about again. So there's a chance that maybe if there was a Dark Rey out there, or this Rey that was a clone, Kylo heard about these stories or whatnot. And then 3, the obvious biggest one, I think everyone could put this together, but me and Taylor, when we were talking about in the mornings, was an epiphany, was Last Jedi. That cave scene is perfection now. If she goes to look at a mirror, she sees the shape of her parents, it turns into her, or turns into nothing. But before that, it was just a bunch of her, and that would make sense if she was just on an assembly line. We don't know how many clones are out there, and if there's her, Dark Rey, who knows if there's anyone. Maybe there's a factory that are just sleeper cells and they're ready to be woken. Maybe that's why this movie's called The Rise of Skywalker, because if she's technically a Skywalker, who knows? So the thing is now with this, I'll ask you this before you get into clone or Dark Rey. Do you think there's a chance now she is a kind of a clone of Luke with this theory going around? What do you think about the title right now with this trailer and maybe all these theories we've talked back and forth? What do you think about the title now?
I don't know if they're referring to a specific person. I think, they could be. I really don't know what to think in that sense, but I think it's just the name and their lineage in general, they're rising, you
Yeah.
know. And I think in this sense where Rey she could totally be a clone because they really emphasized, you know, that whole, you know, a good story for another time or whatever situation. But when you look at, you mentioned that laboratory, secret lab on Jakku. I was reading earlier a bunch of extended universe stuff and how Palpatine had a secret lab on the planet called Wayland, and it was actually guarded by a clone Jedi, Joras C'baoth, I think his name is, and this is part of the Thrawn trilogy, where Thrawn goes there, and it's basically got that's where Luke's hand was cloned in, I believe, and that's where
That's how he did it too in the EU, was with the hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, then
Yeah.
that makes sense. There's precedent of it, and we've seen Favreau said for Mandalorian they're taking some EU stuff, but we've not seen too much of that in the movies. You can kind of argue that Kylo is there like isn't there a character Ben Skywalker or someone like that, or Jace? So no, isn't he kind of modeled after
I think
Jace
it's
Solo?
Jaden and Jason Solo,
And
the
Jason's
twins.
the boy that turns bad, right? And he's
Yeah.
kind of modeled after him. So they've done a few things, but the hand coming over would be a big thing. And that to me is similar to the way of how Marvel takes certain the MCU, Marvel Studios, and Feige takes certain things from the comic books, where it's like we're not adapting that 100%, but we're going to take that concept and idea and take it and spin it into our own. And I think that should be a thing. I hope that's not don't take from the EU. And I'm hoping from maybe this hand and Favreau saying, hey, we took some stuff from the EU, that maybe that is a door that's going to be more open now. Of like, hey, like Thrawn, like they've even done that. Like it's not live action, but look at Thrawn, like. He's completely in a different time area. He's doing different things, but he's a character with similar motivations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're on the clone bandwagon as me, right?
I'm on the clone bandwagon. It just kind of points to it. Obviously, Jakku is like their version of Wayland, the way I'm seeing it now. And I haven't read the Aftermath series, but there's a lot, and I don't know a lot about. I think Admiral Sloan, I think, is her name, and
Yeah,
there's
I've heard about it.
There's
yeah.
a select amount of officials in the Empire that. They knew what was really going on. After Palpatine dies, they knew what to do and how to do it. And then obviously there was Operation Cinder that was from Star Wars Battlefront 2's campaign. That was an order sent out by Palpatine himself. And it's just interesting to see how things are kind of like going along, because that was set up so that the Empire, after the Emperor's death, would basically pull back and have this whole atmospheric weapon called Operation Cinder, and basically they would just burn their own Imperial planets. And it was a way to retreat inward, burn their planets, and set an example to kind of like dishearten the rebellion at the time a little bit, or the New Republic. So Palpatine, he planned for all of this, and at this point of him dying, it might have even been part of his plan as well. Because again, I know I
don't think him getting thrown on the shaft was a plan.
It was it was probably a little bit unexpected. But I think, contingency. He had like...
I think he for sure thought he had Luke in his pocket, and if not, Luke was going to die. And
No, because I think he was pissed, because Luke was like, I'll never join you. And so he's like, well, fuck it, I'm going to
No, I mean,
kill
like
you.
going in that meeting, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get Luke Skywalker.
Well, he was
100%.
overconfident,
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
had contingencies. He had like 30 years worth of planning and
Yeah.
prepping. And that's the thing, too. Like, he knew if there was ever a time where he was betrayed or he was killed or died, he said it so that the Empire would crumble and Vader could not take over it.
Stupid. So
He,
stupid.
yeah, he was fucking wild.
I still hate that, because what if he like tripped and broke his neck, and it's like, it wasn't my fault, Vader, and everything's going to crap. So
Also in the extended universe, after he dies, he apparently spends about like a year, his consciousness just surfing through space, just trying to find something or connect to something.
Well, it's tough because I don't know where I want to go with the conversation, because I like the Palpatine thing would take us off a little bit, but it has to do with Rey. So I'm going to bring it up now. The thing is, what I also think is a misdirect is I don't know, other than flashbacks, if we're going to get Palpatine in a living form as Ian McDiarmid. I want that. I think that's the best. I think there's a chance you disappoint myself and some others if it doesn't happen. But I just think we talk about the trailer. We're going to talk about Kylo as well, some misdirects that I think everyone... Like, the first show ends with his laugh. This one, he has new lines of dialogue, which is very cool, but we don't know to who. We don't know if it's to Kylo, if it's to Rey, if it's to him talking to Snoke in the past, him talking place. We have no idea. And then in the poster that they released, it's Rey and then Kylo having the high ground and then the Emperor. And that's where, to me, we've seen him in other material and we've heard him, but we've not seen him on screen yet. And that's where I said to you, how come we haven't even got just a shot of just his face? You can't see a background just in the hood just to say, oh, he's back. But we just get an idea of like he is kind of like almost what you said. He's almost haunting the area. So I do wonder, and that's why I bring up the Dark Rey. It would be weird, but I almost wonder, is there a chance like that Palpatine's in some like Rey clone body, you know, or is there a younger Palpatine controlling this body? I don't think we see Ian McDiarmid back as the Emperor. I want it because I love the Emperor. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters, but just the way the trailers, I think they're all making us think, oh yeah, he's for sure in it. And I think he'll have a big role, but I don't think he's physically in it. And I know you're iffy on that. You don't agree with me 100%. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I'm up in the air with it because they're obviously doing a huge amount of showcasing with him. And it's funny enough because that poster they put out, I realized that the image of him in there is actually just a photo of one of his like super expensive like Palpatine like action models that you can get, like a statue.
Oh yeah.
Someone actually deciphered it. They found the image in there, and then they show you to the side. It's like an
that's what I mean,
identical
right?
replica of this toy.
Yeah.
So
and maybe they just use that because it was there, but at the same time they don't have any footage or any like. He wasn't on, like, you remember Luke, I don't know if you remember this, but Force Awakens, like, his costume test, like, leaked for him on the mountain. And it's like, so they all do costume photos and whatnot. And it's like, you're telling me that he has no set photos you could have used for that? And that's where it's weird. And we've talked about that, too, that Vader's helmet, not in this trailer, but there's some footage they showed in, like, a highlight reel of all the Disney stuff. And Vader's helmet is coming back. And I know you and me have speculated of, he was talking that helmet in Force Awakens. What if there's a chance that for a little bit that helmet had Palpatine's like soul attached to it, and the whole time Kylo thought he was talking to like his grandfather? No, he's just talking to Palpatine, like
it
posing.
Totally could happen.
So that's why I'm thinking we might not actually physically see Ian McDiarmid in a current resurrected role. The Emperor, sure, but like I said, does that mean Matt Smith's playing him, Dark Rey? But I think what's your percentage I want to get from you on?
I think
if he's physical.
My percentage is like 40% physical, 60%.
Oh,
he's
so you're
like spirit form, and I'm totally okay with him being spirit form. Like
I'd
love it.
Be a tad but if you had a choice, wouldn't you rather still see him in physical form?
I would love to see him in physical form, but when that moment comes where we haven't seen him yet in the movie, and then the score kicks in, and Kylo's walking alone, and then all of a sudden you see a manifestation or something, and you hear that voice. And it's not just a vision or something, but it's this consciousness there speaking in some form, and it kind of forms to the shape of Palpatine. Oh man, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Okay, so that's the other thing though. I don't even know if we'll see him like that. You think we'd 100% see at least like a Sith Force ghost of Palpatine
I don't
like
think
that?
I don't think we'll see a Sith Force ghost, but I mean, but
I mean in that vein, like you said, like a ghostly figure, like something to create his shadow. Like you would see his face, like. Would you see Ian McDiarmid acting at all, like making facial motions?
I think you might see in some shape or form something like that, just because I feel like, at least from the Clone Wars, I'm going to kind of detour a little bit here with like the Sith alchemy thing, because that new poster they put out right above Kylo and Rey, it's just that blue mist stuff, and it's 100% looks the same like the Sith alchemy that Palpatine does. And then in Clone Wars, obviously we know him and Dooku do it, and in Rebels, he obviously whips some of that out against Ezra and Ahsoka, and that Between Time episode.
World Between Time.
Yeah, World Between Time. And then obviously again...
No, it's World Between Worlds.
Between Worlds.
Fucking time travel in Star Wars.
And then we get that same kind of aesthetic effect in Return of the Jedi when he's throwing down the shaft by Vader. And, I've listened to the audio from like the Clone Wars and compared it to the audio from the trailer, the D23 stuff, and when he's saying his lines in the D23 footage, and then you hear like the whispers and you hear Darth Vader's breathing, but if you hear the whispers and that kind of stuff, it sounds exactly like in the Clone Wars when Palpatine is doing his thing. You can hear him, he's chanting over this stuff, and it's some crazy shit, but it sounds identical. And in that sense, and this will kind of be a spoiler for you, but I'll say it in a way that's not. But doing this, he's able to manifest himself somewhere else, where and in a different form as well. But then transitions to his form to trick a certain character in Clone Wars.
Well, and that's why I'm wondering if now, because he doesn't have his like original form, he's always going to different forms. And that's why, like, we've heard of Matt Smith being in this movie. He's said he's not, but like he looks kind of like an old Palpatine. I think there is a chance. What do you think? Like, this thing of like, let's say maybe this Rey is a clone, but is there a chance that even he goes into like our Rey, and that's why this Rey's dangerous? I think that opens up a whole can of worms. So I don't think that would happen. But what do you think is? I get what are the chances that Dark Rey is something that he is attached to, which might be a little weird. You know, you got Palpatine in a girl's body, but hey, if he has to win, like I wonder if he's just looking for the right vessel to like continue on, like Chucky, right? Like, think about Chucky. Like, he wanted to get someone young, spry. Like, is he just like, oh, Kylo's not good? Like, Dark Rey, that's what I'm wondering.
That's the thing, though. At least in the extended universe, clone bodies can't contain his power. They deteriorate too quickly, and he needs a suitable, strong Jedi host that he was looking for.
And he was
tried.
After Luke, right?
He was after Luke,
Yeah.
but then I think it was just... I think he was tricking Luke because he really wanted Anakin Solo, the youngest of the Solo children, which didn't pan out. But
no, never.
So, trying to think here. I think in this case, I don't think he'll possess Dark Rey, because even then, Dark Rey, she just, like you said earlier, she's so composed. And when you watch that scene, and I've watched it in like 0.25 speed, and she is very proficient with, you know, that weapon, which again, if they are clones, they're all good with like long double-ended, you know, weapons. She's good with normal Rey is good with a spear or her staff, but in this case, this Rey is completely composed, no emotional compromising going on at all, like the other Rey, and she is very skilled with this lightsaber. She knows how to use it.
Well, because I agree with you. That's where we're getting into the theory, like you and I kind of posed together, why I don't think he would jump into Rey's body. And I do think, if I had to gun to my head, I do think Dark Rey, is a clone. And I think we've talked about this, that the way I'm laying out, and maybe I'll be 100%, because I was the first hour of Endgame, I got completely right. So maybe this is my first hour of Rise of Skywalker. I think that I don't know what's going on at the very beginning, but we've kind of talked about those Force scenes where she's like Thor throwing the lightsaber. That's really cool. I think that could be her training. I think somewhere there's a chance that Kylo Ren, we've talked about before, we've talked about if there's a third faction, but I kind of agree with you, they might not, and they might just have the Emperor come back in the First Order, be like, we are with the Emperor now, and fuck you, Kylo Ren. That Kylo Ren kind of gets cast out one way or another by choice or by leaving, who knows, but we've kind of thought that maybe Kylo comes across this Dark Rey, like, you know, he just in a cave, he sees Rey, and he's like, oh, here's my second shot, and then, you know, the dark sabers come up, that comes up, and he fights her, and he just, in my opinion, because you pose that he might die in the middle of the film, but you're off that now, right?
Well, no, I never said he would die in the middle of the film, because we don't know when this Dark Rey is going to pop up.
Yeah.
Like, we know that, obviously, the way we were kind of looking at it, like you were saying, Death Star in the middle of the film, which I think, you know, is definitely spot on.
And they're trying to make that seem like that's the end of the movie, I think.
They are trying to make it seem like the end. They're trying to make it seem like Kylo is going to try and kill Rey. And again, that's a misdirect. I don't think Kylo is going to be going in to kill Rey. They're fighting, but I think they're talking, you know, at that point.
Because other than there's one shot in The Last Jedi teaser a long time ago, you saw Kylo Ren with his lightsaber turning it. But other than that, we never, to my knowledge, we never saw him, Rey, or Luke on Crate. So they held that last battle. So in my opinion, what I think's happening, somehow he comes across Dark Rey, whether it's to take down the Emperor, who knows. That's the stuff that I'm tricky with, because I think we've talked about this, that they're not showing a lot of Kylo Ren, and all his stuff is I gotta give you credit for the Rise of Skywalker teaser that we got. Everything they show of him is just like, he's really bad, he's a bad guy like this, he just gets out of a ship, he's going to fight Rey, and then he's fighting Rey on the Death Star. I think what this is, he comes across Dark Rey, and he's been ousted, and he loses to her, but he still escapes with his life, and he's going after Rey or the Resistance now, and he's gonna want to team up with them. And that's why, in my theory as well, if you look, and I could be wrong, but because everyone that's the other thing with footage description. That's why for me, I never like breaking it down because so many people are like they're having a vicious lightsaber battle on the Death Star. I don't think they are. If you look at the way they're fighting, Rey might be going to kill him, but Kylo is literally just walking towards Rey. And every time she takes a hit, he takes it and swings it away. And the next two, he just blocks. We never see him swinging for her head, Thor style. We don't see him trying to like outright kill her. Where I think in Force Awakens, when they had that fight in the Winter Wonderland, and then in the what the room was, the throne room in Last Jedi, he's a very violent fighter. He's throwing his body, he's rushing around. That to me looked like either, like you pointed out to me, that he's trying to talk to her and like, I'm not here to kill you. And of course she's not going to believe him because he's Kylo Ren. Or it's them training again, which, yeah, is that a weird spot to be training in the water? Weird. But maybe it's just like, hey, we got to push ourselves because there's the Emperor, the Knights of Ren are not with me, and there's a clone of you who's even more powerful than you. And that to me is why else would she have two lightsabers? And before you go, when you said like a most epic lightsaber duel, in my opinion, it's not. I think Return of the Jedi is my favorite lightsaber duel just because it has that emotion. But if you just think choreography, I think some people might throw out Revenge of the Sith. I think that gets a little too dancey. Like there's that one moment where they step back and they're just both swinging for like 30 seconds. Like a little too much.
That's so good.
It is, but it's like at the same point in a fight, you wouldn't be doing that. It's too dancey for me sometimes. But the one that I think hits that perfect of, modern choreography with some good emotions is the Duel of the Fates, is Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. And that's why I'm wondering, lots of people say that's the best lightsaber fight ever. And John Williams said you might get hints of all the scores. That's where you could get a hint of Duel of the Fates of you got Dark Rey and you got Kylo on one side and you got good Rey on the other side, and they're taking her on. Like I said, I don't know where the Emperor at the end functions into it, if he's a physical body, what the deal's. That's the thing I can't place, but that's my order is he discovers the Emperor, and I also said to you that maybe he discovers Dark Rey and Rey discovers the Emperor, and they're both going to the Death Star for different reasons. So what do you think about all that?
Shit, that's a lot. I mean, I was just trying to analyze, like, looking at the character's clothes and figure out, like, in what sequence,
right? Yeah, you're on the clothes kick.
Yeah. So looking at like Rey's clothes compared to like when she's on the at some point on the desert planet, her clothes change. She has a band on her across her chest.
If it's the same desert planet, which we assume.
If it's the same, which I am assuming, yeah. And so she changes up her clothes at some point there. I'm assuming it is like soon after when the First Order comes, because then we see them get separated because we got the main heroes being chased by jet troopers and then Rey running from Kylo Ren.
And just to make it specific before you go, if people didn't know, there's like the clothing she has in the first teaser where it looks very much like Force Awakens Rey, and then there's kind of like what you described as like a sleeker Jedi like white and kind of silver bands and like a big tape running. So just to clarify so people know.
Yeah, which again, she's wearing her before she makes the change in her clothes, she's wearing her first set of clothes in the D23 footage while she's training. And this planet, I'm 100% confident that it's Yavin 4. I think the movie could even start off somewhere around that at the beginning where we see she's training on Yavin 4. I'm not saying it's the first scene, but it'll be in the beginning of the film. She's training. First act, yeah. She's training against one of those droids that Luke trained on, kind of thing. And then you see, obviously, she's talking to Leia, and Leia has that medal or whatever, and it still looks like Yavin 4.
Definitely Han's.
Definitely Han's, yeah. So now at this point, I'm thinking, okay, because there's another scene of them on the same planet.
This was your father's, and it's
your
like,
father's,
what
yeah.
happened? What do we miss? And the whole movie's just a flashback to the.
It doesn't even, just a flashback, yeah. What a fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's another scene where you see Rey hugging Leia and they're crying, but it looks like the background is the same as you have before, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be like a later scene, because you see another scene of Leia doing her signature stance as she's looking off at the heroes leaving. Signature stance.
That's so sad. That's their signature stance. Which, granted, that they have to use what footage they have, right?
Yeah, and
so you think that hug's definitely after? I know I'm spoiling what you're going to say, but after Kylo Ren dies or near the end of the film, right?
I think so. I think
there's not a chance it's at the beginning of the movie and they're saying goodbye, like I'm going in the battle. I may never see you again.
No, because that crying definitely wasn't I'm going to battle cry. It looked like she lost something, and it was much more.
Finn and Rose are a true item. Yeah,
they're trying Force babies, but she it looked very different from when she cried in Force Awakens, but I think that kind of scenario will be represented here. But I think it's gonna go Yavin 4, and they're gonna go to the desert planet. They're gonna get caught up in the battle there, and Rey somehow is gonna try to get away with the heroes, and I think Kylo Ren is going to follow them, and that'll lead to the Death Star midway. And
see, I'm with you, but I flip them.
You flip them?
I flip them because remember we did talk about that Rey and Kylo could be potentially training on that desert planet, and when the Finn, Poe, and C-3PO, Rey's not with them when they're getting attacked. So what happens if Kylo and Rey are like over there? And you brought a good point in the teaser way long ago was Rey had a staff at one point, and then they show Finn with that same staff holding it, but they're on the rock planet, like almost like they're watching something going on. So that's why I think the Death Star might happen first, and then they go there. And I will say this before I continue: I just get so giddy at the thought of Finn having to sit on like the Falcon with Kylo Ren as like a good guy, like trying to team with them. Because if you're a longtime fan, I've always said don't want Kylo bad. I am more warmed up to the idea. I just want it, and I know you're in the same camp, I want it at least in the middle of the film. Not even if it's a redemption, just, hey, I will team up with you to take down the Emperor because you need me, and you guys got no other options. There's not much of you left, and you're not going to take down Dark Rey and the Emperor without me. Yeah. So if that happens in the middle and he dies, that's fine. I just don't want, hey, Emperor has Dark Rey and Kylo. Like maybe the Emperor makes Dark Rey, so it's like, oh, you can be with her finally. I do not want. Imagine that. Imagine if that's movie, it's that, and then in the end he chooses to kill Dark Rey, but then the Emperor kills him for it. That just sounds so bad, and that's why I always worry it could happen. But if he turns good, or at least joins the good side and still kind of bad or gray Jedi and dies, I'm fine with that. I just don't want a Vader copy for copy. At the end he saves Rey, and he's like, I've been Ben this whole time. And it's like, fuck off. Like, you killed your dad, you turned Rey down, like you've had so many chances, so I really like the idea of just, and imagine the moment of Kylo Ren if they're at the Death Star, that what we think is maybe the true why am I missing the planet of Ewoks.
Endor? Moon of Endor?
Yeah, but we're thinking this might be like real Endor, right? Or another moon of Endor?
One of the other moons of Endor.
Yeah, or because you've said Endor is a gas giant, but
Endor is a gas
giant,
we've
never seen that in movies.
We never see it in the movie.
So that's where, but my idea was if they meet on there and have to go to they're like, okay, Kylo's with us, we don't trust him, but he's our only hope. Imagine that scene of Kylo Ren going back on the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and they did that in Force Awakens, but they cut it. So in our world, it's never happened. Just imagine that, like the rush of emotions that could be happening for him. Because I have heard other people, I don't think this could be true, but what do you think of Dark Rey being a Kylo vision and not a Rey vision? Like something he sees.
It's possible, but again, I mean, what, he's like having like a wet dream or whatever?
Well, no, maybe he's just seeing like what could happen, and he doesn't want that to happen to her after all. Like, it's not.
I don't think he would be like, I don't want that to happen to you after all, because he wanted to pull her in.
I agree. I'm just throwing it out there so people,
But I mean, it's possible. At this point, I can't say no.
Yeah. So we were talking about. Oh yeah, because so you still think it would go desert then Death Star? Because I think I would go desert.
I think I would go Death Star desert just because the clothes, like the clothes she's wearing, are her new garb on the Death Star planet.
And Kylo's on that desert. You and I both think
he's
right?
He's in the. I say at this point again, we didn't get to see him in the TIE silencer. Yeah. We saw the ship and we saw the gloves. I mean, that could be Dark Rey for all we fucking know.
They're training together.
Yeah. But it's hard to say at this point, because I definitely think, the Death Star will be in the middle of the movie and a lot of things will happen. And I'm only accounting for just what I think the heroes are going to be going through. I don't know what the other scenes are going to be, because the Knights of Ren are in here. They're not showing it. I'm glad, because we got Palpatine, Knights of Ren, Kylo Ren all doing things. And the only thing I can confirm is Kylo Ren,
Scoop?
He is... he's on the planet that's below that fleet of Star Destroyers, and I don't know why he's whipping his lightsaber out.
To describe it, they had that shot. It's the Star Destroyers. It's like blue and black. It's cloudy, and there's lightning. And when he's on the planet, I didn't know, so you point out, there's also lightning going on. And I had the theory of that's where, if there is a Palpatine soul or Palpatine, that's where it is. Just because the lightning, and it's just like this is a force of evil and stuff like that. And that's where I do, because I want to point out, I've only pointed this out to you because it's not worth mentioning Twitter to other people that aren't Star Wars fans. We still, in no pictures or no footage, have seen Kylo with his helmet on. And I think that is, the helmet's back. We've seen it repaired, and we've seen it in that poster. But I'm not going to say I'm 100% on this, but I still think there's a chance someone else is wearing Kylo Ren's new helmet. And maybe that's Dark Rey, to be honest. Maybe
I thought about that too.
And maybe the diversion is her having the crossblade lightsaber. But how come we've not seen Adam Driver in that at all. And I remember when we saw the toys coming back in the helmet, we're like, oh, he's gonna be back in the helmet. But him seeing Vader's helmet, him going fighting Rey, him in that last thing taking down some alien or a Knight of Ren, everything we've seen, and even the picture they released of him, the TIE Fighter, it's him with his mask off. How come if he has his mask back, he's never had it? It could just be easy that he's only wearing it for 5 minutes in battle and he takes it off right away. But it is a little peculiar. So I think the fact he's not in the helmet, and like you said, bad guys or Kylo Ren, we've seen no footage. I think lots of how Emperor comes back, or a lot of the plot is around Kylo Ren. And I think Rey is a part of the plot, but I think it's her reacting to a lot of the plot and trying to beat them, right? Where I think Kylo, all the twists and turns, I think will kind of be around him. And similar to the last movie, like with him, it was revealing about Luke and the whole Snoke throne. Like if you think about the scenes he was in, all of them were big scenes. Even the Skype call, they kept that secret. So I think they're doing that again, where he has a lot of big scenes and they're keeping that secret. And
no, I agree.
It's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time.
Oh yeah, I mean they really emphasize that scene of the helmet being repaired. So, I mean they're bringing it back for a reason. And again, even in the poster,
Toys.
you can see, toys. You can see Kylo Ren wearing it in the poster.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, that doesn't really go to bat for anything. But
we don't know it's Kylo other than he has the high ground, right?
We don't know, other than he's got the high ground and it's, the cross-guarded lightsaber. But
yeah, because it's the same way. Look at, people might say, oh, no, that's not the case. Look at the toys for Endgame. Until after that movie, all of the toys of Thor were in shape Infinity War Thor toys, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did not show, and then there's Fat Thor or Musky Thor. Like, they're all, it's that same guy. So whenever it's like, but Kylo, his lightsaber, or even then, the poster's Kylo Ren. Doesn't matter. There's a poster at one point called Revenge of the Jedi. Doesn't matter until it's in the movie, So,
great poster.
Yeah, I really like the poster as well. I didn't know about the toy thing. That's pretty funny. So, I have some questions I want to throw at you, but do you have anything specific you want to go? I know there's one thing you might want to touch about the Rey's, like the ship and that planet potentially, right? You had a theory with those beams going on. I'll let you talk about that.
In the first trailer for Rise of Skywalker, you obviously see Kylo Ren kind of like going through this intense battle scene with stormtroopers alongside him, and he's like
it's all red,
punching this guy. Yeah, it's a whole red aesthetic. And then in this footage, you see a red blast hit a planet, and I'm almost thinking that maybe we'll get like a flashback of something, like maybe they were test firing Starkiller Base, and we're going to see something. I'm thinking that we're going to get a lot of flashbacks in this.
You think that's the same scene?
I think it might. I think it might be, because I think that's. There's a few ways this could pan out. That could be a different scenario altogether, but I'm thinking that could be Kylo Ren on that planet, fighting. But then again, the landscape is different, but the aesthetic is the same.
It is, and I'm pretty sure, though, in that clip we should check, I think Kylo Ren still has that scar, though, so it couldn't flash back to it.
That's true.
So, I don't think it is that is the same one. I don't know if you were saying this as well. I think there's a chance we see Starkiller Place blowing up where Rey's origin was. That ship that's flying, where you said it was kind of that snow planet in the teaser. I think there's a chance maybe they get what they need there, the clones, something to help Emperor, and then they say blow it up so nobody else finds it. And that's what I think is more likely than that Kylo Ren scene. Because remember, until after Force Awakens, he didn't really take off his helmet in public that much, it seems like, right? So that's why I don't know if that's a flashback in that situation. I don't think.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's more or less like that is the place where Rey's parents are going, and or whoever those people were,
and
if again
it's just Rey being delivered to that planet.
I was wondering too if like maybe is this planet actually the same planet where the Star Destroyers are above, and after that blast, maybe it fucked the planet up so bad that there's lightning and stuff, and maybe that was it doesn't look like an Imperial facility.
No, it looks very... So... in the teaser or in the trailer?
In the trailer.
Okay, yeah, because the teaser looked pretty light. Like, there's lots of places in the trailer. It looks just very... just barren. There doesn't look anything there. It almost looks like obviously Starkiller Base is blown up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did blow it up, right?
Unless they get another super weapon. I mean, the closest thing they have is their...
no more super weapons.
What was that? It was like a... remember that Star Destroyer in Last Jedi?
The mini ones?
It had those mini cannons that leveled Resistance Base.
Yeah, they could have something like that.
What was... Not Snoke's, but the other one that Poe took out the...
Dreadnought.
A Dreadnought, yeah. So, I mean, they could have more of those.
Yeah, maybe. I was going to say, like, that planet looks a lot like the first planet we saw in the very, very first, like, Force Awakens teaser, which ended up being Starkiller Base, but it's kind of just dark, and it looks cold and gloomy and stuff like that. So, I guess we'll see. Are you ready for some of my questions here?
Yeah, do it.
Is there any chance that the Rey we know... Well, I'll say this. You're in the same camp with me, is that the Rey we know and love for the past 2 films is not dark side by choice, right? She's not choosing to go to the dark side, be like, I'm a bad guy now.
No, she's not choosing.
I'm with you. I think that's 100%, 100% wrong, 0% chance happening. What is the chance of her, and I don't think this would happen because it's not that, I don't think there's enough time, but her pulling a Luke EU and going dark side to learn it or to infiltrate something.
Don't think they'll do it. Not enough time in the
agree.
movie.
That's what I will say. I've said this to you, and I've said this before. I feel like JJ's going to make a sequel to Force Awakens. This for sure feels like a trailer to the sequel of Force Awakens. It does not feel like a sequel to Last Jedi, in my opinion.
Last Jedi doesn't exist. This is actually the true sequel.
Well, that's just the one thing about Last Jedi only taking place over a few days. It is just like really small events other than Snoke dying. Like most of them are smaller events. We didn't lose any major characters. I guess, yeah, we lost Luke, but Luke didn't have much to do in Force Awakens. He didn't really, and even in... Yeah, okay, he did impact the story in Last Jedi. I'll give you that. But it's just like it's very small stuff he did, right?
Yeah.
It's just like what the kids, like Broom Kids were talking about. It's the legend. It's not the war going on. He kind of bowed out. So there's that. What is the chance of the Rey we know and love being a clone and the Emperor hitting a switch a la Order 66 style? And she's bad because she has no choice in the matter. Like he's programmed her that way.
I mean, it's possible. The whole thing, when I look at it, it just reminds me of Force Unleashed 2, you know? And again, goes to show there, you know, that clone of Star Killer, Galen Merrick, he was evil, and he was 100% emotionless and uncompromised, and, you know, he was ruthless. He was a loyal servant. And that looks exactly the same as to, you know, with Rey, or Dark Rey, sorry. And I don't think it'd be hard for them to be, like, brainwashed or, you know, mind controlled to, you know...
But I'm saying our Rey. Is there a chance that's our Rey being mind controlled?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And then the last one I already thought out the possibly Ghost Palpatine, but kind of not on that. Is there any chance that these are flashbacks and this is a Kotar Revan situation, which I will lay out if you've never played the game. It's spoilers for the game, so either skip ahead if you plan on playing it. You should. It's one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. That you're playing with this character the entire time who has amnesia, and then near the end, I'd say the end of the second act, then they keep building up. There's this Darth Lord Revan, and we don't know what's happened to him. Where is he? Blah, blah. And it's revealed that you, in a battle with Bastila, who is the main female character, got hurt. You lost all your memories, and the Jedi are kind of using you as a weapon against the Sith. But you have amnesia, but you were Darth Revan in the past, and then you became this good Jedi. Or maybe bad again. Depends on how you play the game. But do you think there's any chance that is a way of, like, Rey is, like, why she doesn't remember her parents, why she just... is kind of really powerful, because it does work though with no memory and being very powerful the same way you were in Knights of the Old Republic. Like they kept saying you're so powerful for your age, this shouldn't be a thing. So
true, but
a chance.
we've seen her as an infant being dropped off, you know, on
what
Jakku.
if those memories are planted?
They could be planted for sure, but even then, I feel like it's. I feel like there'd be more to it, you know. I feel like they would have highlighted more, and Snoke would have known who this girl is, you know. They would have talked about it more, and Luke wouldn't have turned her away 100% because Luke would have known who she is.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think for me, why I don't believe it as well is I think that theory, or the theory of Ghost Palpatine jumping in her body, or her being the Order 66 version, I think all those theories would be a lot more true if Kylo had turned good at the end of Last Jedi. But I think him turning good... I guess you could do it, but I just feel like that's a lot if she somehow goes bad, whether it's by choice or not, and then he turns good in the middle of the film, and then it's like a swap that he has to go get her. And I don't know if people would really enjoy that either, of just him now becoming kind of like the main character and then her being the bad guy, you know? So unless it ended with them both dying, which I would like. I'd like something... That's all I want from this film is something ballsy.
Everyone dies.
Yeah, I want something ballsy and somebody didn't come seeing, or didn't see coming, so... let's see. The only question I have to ask is I was talking about like with possibly in Kylo's vision, and maybe with the Emperor and stuff like that, Vader's helmet. Maybe I think there's a good chance that I really hope Luke Force Ghost haunts him. I think there's a chance we get a Rey vision, but kind of like Kylo's, and you got that Vader helmet. Do you got any theories why it's in a contained situation right now, not out?
Well, it looked like it had some. I'm assuming it has something going down with it. You know, maybe he's contained it because maybe Anakin's Force Ghost is actually coming through, and maybe we get some Hayden Christensen or something.
Well, I was going to say, I'm convinced he's going to have a cameo in this. I really do, because You have the only one is show announced. Check out our episode. So that's talking about prequels. You got a dual blades lightsaber. So if you had never seen anything else other but the OT trilogy, that's a shout out to the prequels right there. If there's a lightsaber duel with those two versus them, that's a shout. So I think Hayden will, because we heard those rumors, remember, of him seeing like a Vader, Anakin sort of, man, people just love calling me when I'm doing podcasts. Vader, Anakin sort of whatever. And that's what I think could be part of his good guy turn is if he figures out that this helmet was Palpatine and then the truth does come out of like, well, yeah, Vader turned good at the end. And because I think I've told you this before in one of the books, I don't know if it's Aftermath or some book, or I think it might be the novelization of Force Awakens, that he knows that Vader turned good, but he looks at that as like he had a weak moment and he wasn't really good. If he finally realized, and that's why that look that he's given that helmet is just kind of like the, what have I done? Like this is like he's not scared, but just the way of just like, I need to be careful with this because I don't know what it is. And that's why if he's kind of been revealed that everything he's been told is a lie, or the stuff that maybe Palpatine did the same thing to Snoke and the way they twisted him was kind of lying to Kylo Ren, that's why I think he could turn good. And maybe there's a part where he starts to turn good. He's on the fence and he looks up and you see Hayden Christensen and he talks to them and it's weird. I don't know if I want it or not. I just because
you want it.
I want it if Hayden Christensen and the writers can make it work. Because Hayden Christensen, and it's not even his fault because lots of that bad acting, and I hate Anakin Skywalker. All from Annie to Anakin Skywalker as a character, I think he hurt Darth Vader. But this could hopefully be a way to maybe redeem him. Kind of the way I look at it is the way Nebula just got better with every movie. Hopefully. So I think there is a chance. If I get in my head, I think we're going to see Hayden talk to Kylo, and I'm kind of for it, and I don't know, it could go wrong. I think a lot of this stuff, even Clone Rey, could go really wrong in this movie. So, what was I saying? So yeah, that's what I was asking you. Do you think we get some sort of Kylo like vision, or where are you in the Hayden camp?
I would love to see Vader. Hayden come back.
We start talking about because the Vader helmet, right? That's
so I think at this point Disney has brought back, Ian. They brought back Ewan. They've brought
Clone Wars.
Yeah, they've brought back the Clone Wars. They've really been shouting out to the originals and
look
the
at the montage.
Trilogy.
It had a bunch of prequel movie stuff.
Had a bunch of prequel movie stuff. A lot of Hayden Christensen in those scenes.
Yeah.
If they bring him back, because I'm pretty sure Hayden and Ian were both at Star Wars Celebration this year.
Two times.
They
did it last year, and then he got a good response, and he's been back. And they brought Ian back, and I know he was the Palpatine in that one, but he had a much bigger role in the prequels. Like, to me, the Palpatine in the OG trilogy is just a cool shadow, but Palpatine in the prequels is a good character who is like, I think, there's some cheesy acting sometimes going on, but he is a good character, and his motivations is very well thought out. So there's a chance.
Yeah, and I would be totally okay with Hayden coming back. I'd love it. I'd love to see Hayden and Kylo interact because it was something.
I need that. I don't know if I need. I might even need that, but that'd be crazy.
It just reminds me because, like, in the extended universe, there's this moment where after Cade Skywalker's father gets killed, he renounces being a part of the Jedi Order and all that stuff.
How many fucking Skywalkers are there?
They last for another few generations because Cade is the grandson to Luke.
Okay.
But he ends up becoming a pirate bounty hunter and refuses being a Jedi. So he takes death sticks to actually keep Force Ghost Luke away. And Force Ghost Luke kind of like keeps popping up and stuff in his life. And I would love that because it reminds me of the same scenario where Kylo is just trying to maybe suppress whatever is coming off of this helmet.
Or what if whatever Palpatine's latched on helmet has not let Hayden Christensen's like Anakin's Force Ghost get to him?
No, well we know. No, because that wouldn't be the case because they put out a recent new novel where we know Luke actually communes with Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin.
No, I mean, he just cut off just to Kylo. He is like the same way Snoke bridged their minds.
But they would have connected at one point, though. That's the thing.
But no, you have to learn that power before you can talk to Force Ghosts, right?
No, I think Force Ghosts can pop up to you.
Really?
If you want to become a Force Ghost, you have to learn that power. Because Yoda in the Clone Wars, again, another spoiler, he didn't learn that power, but Qui-Gon could reach out to him.
But there is a chance that Anakin Skywalker did not go to Kylo Ren because he's just like, I want Luke to train him because leave him on his own right now until he needs his help. he kills all these people, and then he goes with Snoke, and there's maybe some Emperor stuff going on. Right when he goes with Snoke, he's cut off from Anakin, and that's how I like differentiate. He's cut off from Anakin, and Emperor is that powerful where he's not let any good Force ghost get to Kylo Ren. And that's where maybe if he gets rid of that helmet, he destroys it, or he just gets away from it, finally there's that moment of people can start, and that's maybe how Luke comes to him. That's how Hayden comes to him. That's what I think could happen. I think that there's a chance that Anakin was like, I don't want to talk to this kid because, like, that could really mess him up. I was a terrible Jedi. I killed a lot of people. Like, let's let Luke just be with him right now, you know?
It's true, but I think at the same time, I definitely agree. You know, I think Kylo has been cut off from a few things, but I think like Luke learned a lot from like Qui-Gon, Anakin. I think Anakin told him so many things. I think again in the Battlefront campaign, I think that's how Luke figured out where to go for Palpatine's vaults, because I think Darth Vader told him, or Anakin told him, a lot of things. And again,
lots of sand. Look out.
Lots of sand. And again, it's kind of like what you said earlier, don't you have to learn that power? Like Luke didn't even learn it, but Ghost Obi-Wan was able to talk to him still, you know. So I feel like, you know, Kylo Ren, at some point, I really want, you know, Hayden to just start talking to him and kind of like ground him. Like, you know, you have to realize, you know, what I did was a mistake. Because I can't remember where I read this dialogue, but Snoke was telling Kylo Ren, like, why was Vader weak, you know?
Yeah.
And it was because of his, you know, his kids, and how that was the Emperor's mistake. Because I think he actually spoke on about the Emperor being a separate character.
Was that in a book or like the novelization?
I think it was the novelization.
Yeah, I think so. Those are always tricky though, because they count and don't, right? Because in Force Awakens, Poe and Rey met, but in Last Jedi, that was the
Dark
first time
Rey.
they met. Well, yeah, but that was the first time they met, right? So they have said that's novelization, but a creator did say if it happens in the movie, that takes precedence. So it could be like Luke's hand, where it's like those are ideas they have, but we don't know for sure if that's knowledge, right? You know, it's like they're almost like deleted scenes. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say on this trailer? Kylo, Dark Rey, Palpatine.
Really wondering. I know a lot of people are thinking like, okay, they're pulling the EU Katana fleet into, you know, not canon, but into just play here about what all these Star Destroyers are. Yeah, they're not
technically canon too.
Well, the Katana fleet isn't. That was Legends.
That's, I mean, if they're pulling it into this
movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of these Star Destroyers, they're definitely Imperial age. They're not Resurgent class Star Destroyers like the First Order uses. And the First Order never at any given time, I don't think, has had that many Star Destroyers. Because, I mean, this fleet is way bigger than the one that was at Endor. So, I mean, at this point, we know, I think there was at least... there was Darth Vader's Super Star Destroyer, and there were a couple other ones. I think there were at least 2 more out there somewhere. And one of them was partaked in the Battle of Jakku. And
you think this is an old fleet, like old ships being used instead of a flashback? Because some people have posed it could be a flashback.
I don't think it's a flashback, because it looks like all the ships looked inactive. They were all looked like they were all perfectly in line there in orbit. I think just waiting to be used. And I mean, what better way if Palpatine knew that he was going to die, and he or had a hunch and had a contingency? You know, he would have to make sure he can come back into the galaxy, you know, very strong. And I think the First Order conflicts with that. I think the First Order wasn't full on a part of his plan, because obviously it was taken over by Snoke, and the First Order retreated into the Outer Rim.
I just think they're going to adopt. He's going to adopt the First Order, though.
Oh, probably. Yeah. He'll probably absorb them. But I know Palpatine didn't want the Empire to carry on if he wasn't there, because no one else would be worthy enough to lead it. So why not, you know, if you knew you're going to die, why not stash, you know, a huge, massive fleet that's just waiting for you, and then when you get resurrected, then you can take control of your galaxy again, and, you know,
why not? We all have
your
these
empire.
thoughts, right?
We all do, yeah. But I mean, he's a contingent man, and I would love that if this was part of his plan, you know, just to come back and just take over the galaxy, because obviously, you know, he took over the first time the galaxy through political means, and then the Republic, the rebellion,
rebelled,
which a bunch of terrorists that took the galaxy back over and defeated the Empire. Guys. And then the Empire retreated and turned into the First Order, and then they took over the galaxy through a military occupation.
He's like Thanos. Thanos tried just taking out half, and that didn't work. So when he came back, he's like, "I'm just gonna get rid of you all." And this time he's just like, "I'm just gonna do it by power and stuff," because he can't just show up as Sheev and like, "I'd like to run for office again."
Yeah, you know, he definitely can't. Unless he's like possessing,
Well, yeah, like
what's
Matt Smith,
yeah,
which could be
running
could
for
be,
chancellor.
right? Yeah.
But I
Where's
love that.
Jar Jar?
Yeah, I need a Jar Jar. I love that shot though, seeing the classic rebel ships coming in. No more of those like crazy doohickey bombers, but we got the B-wing and the Y-wing bombers back now, which is great. We got we had A-wings, but I love seeing the A-wings.
You're gonna get some big space battles.
I want some big space battles. Like we got to see one of those blockade runners pop out of hyperspace, and there was another ship that I couldn't identify, but the Alderaan blockade runner, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I want to see a lot more. I want to see some big Mon Calamarian cruisers.
Too bad he's dead.
Akbar, yeah,
dead.
Fucking fuck. One of my favorite characters.
Ryan Johnson. I think that's my least favorite thing you did in that movie.
He got shafted so hard.
Oh, he did. He did big time. Is that it for you?
One more thing I want to shout out: the lightsaber that Rey uses. When I saw it, I was like, okay. When everyone was talking about double-ended lightsaber,
they didn't describe it like
they
that.
didn't describe it.
Yeah,
They just made it sound like a Darth Maul lightsaber.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, the first thing that I'm going to think of is I'm going to describe to the people this fucking lightsaber.
To be honest, though, they did see it once. It was really quick, so maybe it was just so.
But
quick,
you don't forget that. The first time I saw it, I was like,
when you see two blades, yeah, and that's why descriptions like that's why. Other than a few things, we try not to do podcasts about them because it's enough for us. But like exactly like what we've talked about, all the stuff in there and that, I sound like that's not what I thought. I thought they had just Darth Maul. Like I even feel like I heard described as she had one blade and then an ignite and show the other Darth Maul style. But that's not how it went down. So
yeah, but I love her style, and I was wondering, okay, where did I see this before? Was it Old Republic or what was it? And then bam, I remembered. And currently, at the time that we're recording this, you haven't seen this lightsaber in action, but it's in the Clone Wars. And the next episode we do of Clone Wars is the Umbaran series, and you'll get to see the lightsaber in action.
Is it some of those what Ventress is from?
No, Pong Jedi Master Pong Krell uses it, and you remember Obi-Wan Kenobi's friend in the diner from Attack of the Clones,
Dex.
Yeah, Krell is one of those species, and he has two of those lightsabers because he's got 4 arms, so he has 2 double-bladed. He is such a fucking sweet character.
I'm excited.
But yeah, he just to see that lightsaber and know like, okay, it's so cool to see that kind of version come back into play here is very cool. But yeah, it's unfortunate because he can't use one at a time.
Yeah.
So can't use one blade ignited.
You could. It'd
be very hard though.
It's exciting. I like seeing new blades. Everyone knows I'm not a fan of Rey just having a blue lightsaber, but the fact that we got another lightsaber, JJ likes doing new bad guy lightsabers, not good guy lightsabers. In the movie,
this lightsaber, by the looks of it, someone else pointed this out. It looks a little bit unstable, but at the same time, it doesn't fully look unstable.
No, it's pretty long, the middle piece. Though.
It is very long, and again, this is something where. This crystal, the 2 crystals I'm assuming that are powering this would have to be pulled from a Force user and then forced to bleed. So I'm wondering, okay, where did Dark Rey get these crystals from?
Luke.
It could be Luke, or it could
Jedi
be one
Temple.
of the former students, or Jedi Temple or something, because she got these crystals, made them bleed, and now they're red. But they don't look at all as stable as Kylo Ren's.
Is there any chance we got a Hulk situation where that Death Star fighting of Rey and Kylo, and I think no 100%, but Kylo actually has like a blue or green lightsaber, and that his crossblade lightsaber is the one Dark Rey took? Like
it's possible, but I always assumed that his kyber crystal, he tried to make it bleed and it cracked. That's why he has the exhaust ports on his lightsaber, because he's so emotionally compromised.
I would just give anything if Kylo was a full-on good guy, like he turned the good side in the middle of the film. Imagine seeing him use Luke's green lightsaber.
Oh, it'd be sick. I mean, even in Attack of the Clones, we got Anakin with a green lightsaber.
Oh, I know. I always like to see the change up, but just like that legacy of, especially that's the lightsaber that he saw Luke trying to kill him with. That is a moment, Come talk to me, stars.
Well, that would have had so much weight to it if Luke showed up in Last Jedi.
I agree.
Illusion Luke, and he whips out the green lightsaber. Like it would have rattled Kylo Ren, like because that's the last time he would have seen that lightsaber coming down to strike him.
Yeah, and especially because Kylo already has a moment with that blue lightsaber in Force Awakens. Is like that belongs to me. So it's like the green one would have been fine. I agree, but I would let it pass if they brought it back here. But who knows?
Yeah, there's another thing actually about that where people are thinking that Kylo Ren. Well, actually, this is a wild theory that I read that someone posted, but they found credibility to back it up. But when Luke actually Well, it was the thing where Kylo Ren found Rey and wanted her to be trained, and Luke said no. And so that scene where Luke is swinging his lightsaber down, Kylo Ren was actually whipping his lightsaber in defense to protect the person next to him. Because apparently they're saying if you look, maybe you can think that Rey was actually sleeping in the bed with Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah, let's do it,
I
Force
shouldn't have said that.
babies. Yeah, let's get on. Oh,
That's just another wild theory, though.
they're for sure. Like I said, either Dark Kylo's gonna see Dark Rey and be like, oh boy, or like when he turns good, they're just gonna like Poe and Finn will be like, we gotta leave, and then Rey and Kylo will be like, just give us a minute, 1 minute, he's good now. The other fun theory I've seen is that like Rey is Kira and Darth Maul's kid. Like it's just as a joke because
what Kira? Oh, Kira and
Rey.
Darth Maul.
Yeah, just a fun stupid theory.
Oh my god.
Anything else?
I don't know. I think that's everything I got on that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Down below is the video and audio descriptions for these podcasts. Like I said, we're going to be doing Obi-Wan one, so check out that. We got lots of newscasts. It Chapter 2 is coming up. We might have a fun special GV Classic episode releasing. Stay tuned for that. So until next time, may the Force be with you.
Always.